Good evening, everybody. Why don't you go ahead and get seated? We're going ahead and get started here in just a moment. All right, thank you very much. Good evening, and welcome to the 2016-2017 Educational Options Night. We're glad to have you here. Obviously a packed house, so we appreciate your patience with us while we get everybody in. My name is David Court, and I'm have the opportunity to be the college counselor and the College Credit Plus advisor at Thomas Worthington High School. Again, glad that so many of you are here tonight. Myself, along with Andrea Gratz and Brianna Abbott and the other Worthington-Kilbourne school counselors, are glad again to have you here for our Educational Options evening. We're excited to share with you tonight the opportunities that College Credit Plus and Credit Flexibility will provide you or your son or daughter with those opportunities during the 2017-2018 school year. We have with us tonight 4 local Central Ohio colleges and their admissions representatives who work in the College Credit Plus office. So I'd like to take an opportunity to introduce them. These admissions representatives will be here at the conclusion of the meeting tonight in the cafeteria, and they're available to ask any individual questions specific to their institution. From Columbus State Community College is Keith Coates. From Central Ohio Technical College is Cal Morris. From Otterbein University is Mary Mosca, and from The Ohio State University is Michelle Brown. Michelle Brown and Keith Coates will be starting the evening tonight. They're going to give an overview of College Credit Plus from the Institute of Higher Ed's perspective, and then Miss Brianna Abbott will conclude with the Worthington City Schools pathways that we offer our students at Thomas Worthington, Linworth, and Worthington-Kilbourne High School, as well as the Worthington Academy. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Michelle Brown and Keith Coates. Thank you very much.
Well, it's great to see so many folks out here tonight. We're going to kind of try and share the microphone a little bit to talk about College Credit Plus. And hopefully, we're going to give you a good idea if this is the right program for you and for your family. College Credit Plus is a great program for the right student. And so tonight is that start to have these family conversations to find out, is this the right program for you? Is this the right time for you? Which campus might be the right school for you? And so we're hoping that we answer a lot of general questions, and then again, we'll be available at the end to go into more specific information as well.
Can everyone hear okay? Great. Just wanted to double check.
So as we get started, I always like to find out who's in the audience. So how many of you have a 7th or 8th grade for next year? 7th or 8th grade student, parent. Okay. How about 9th graders next year? 10th graders next year? 11th graders? And 12th graders? Great. That helps us to get an idea. And what we have seen across the state is that the majority of students who participate are actually 11th and 12th graders. But we're going to talk about all of the opportunities and give you some good information, again, to find out if this is the right thing and the right time for you. So if I can make this clicker work, there we go. So College Credit Plus is a program that has been put together by the state of Ohio. It replaces the old post-secondary enrollment options program, and it allows qualified students to take college classes before graduating from high school for free, or mostly free, depending on the institution. It gives students the option of getting credit that works both for high school and college credit. Yay. So these classes will be listed on both a college transcript and on a high school transcript. So this can count towards graduation requirements for high school as well as graduation requirements for your college experience. Classes can be taught on campus, at the high school, or online. Is there anything you want to add about that?
Also, at Columbus State, for example, we have a number of students that take classes within their high school that are part of the College Credit Plus program, where they also count for the college credit as well as the high school graduation requirements. So different institutions can do it different ways, and we have different methods and modes through which students take classes. And like Michelle mentioned at the beginning, it's all a matter of a conversation as a family once you know the information to find out what classes, what method, what mode, what institution is right for your child.
So what does this all cover? I said it's free or mostly free. So your school district is actually covering the cost of the tuition and the books. The colleges are covering the cost of all of the fees. So you really aren't going to be paying what you might expect to pay for a college level class. But there are a couple things that are not included. So if you go to a campus that has a required parking fee, that would be on the family. So that might be something you have to pay for. Or if you find out that the campus has a beautiful recreation center that also has a fee, that would be something that you'd be opting into, and that would be something that would be the responsibility of the family. Their cost of transportation in general is not going to be covered, so that's something you want to think about. There is a self-pay option. And not many students take advantage of it. I think I have two. Most people want to do the free. But it is available for students who say, you know what, maybe I don't want to have it on my high school transcript, or they want to go over the amount that the state will pay for. So that is going to be a possibility. And again, we can talk to you if you want to explore that a little bit more. Okay. Because this is a state program, there are some limits. And so the state has said that you can do the equivalent of a full year of college credit, which is 30 semester hours. You can do that over an entire year, summer, fall, and spring. And it has to include both your high school courses and your college courses. So some students will come and do only college courses, and that's easy to figure out. But if you're doing a mixture of both high school and college classes, you'll want to work very closely with your high school counselor to make sure that you don't go over that maximum number of 30 hours. And there's a lovely little formula that for every 1 year-long Carnegie credit at high school, it's the equivalent of 3 college credits. So say you're taking 5 classes at your high school, that would be the equivalent of 15 college hours. And that means you would have an additional 15 hours of college credit that you can take. So we work to make sure that this all works out. So in a year, you can earn up to 30 hours, and over the entire program, you can earn up to 120 college credits, which is just shy of a bachelor's degree. We haven't seen too many people do that, but it is possible. Okay. Do we have anybody here who is a non-public or homeschool student? Because most of you are enrolled here in the district, we won't go into detail. If you are, and you don't want to raise your hand, you can come and talk to us afterwards, and we'll be happy to go into that information. So, you want to hit some of these benefits?
Sure. So some of the benefits of College Credit Plus, some of them are very self-evident, such as free college tuition, as Michelle mentioned. Also, colleges tend to offer a lot of classes that aren't available in high schools. Self-explanatory with that, right? So your student have the opportunity to take classes that their school would not be able to offer. College Credit Plus, we're going to talk a little more about the academic rigor of college here in a little bit. But college classes are a little bit different. They're harder, there's different expectations, and College Credit Plus can give your student early exposure to the difference between high school and college. And that's one of the things we stress as we talk with families about going into College Credit Plus, is the difference that your student can expect between what they're used to in high school or middle school and the college expectations. And like Michelle said, a lot of the classes that you take in College Credit Plus, of course they're applicable to the institution that you're taking them through, but depending on what your student's academic path is, whatever they choose for it to be long-term, a lot of those credits can transfer then to other institutions, both public and private here in the state of Ohio, and even some transferability to other states.
And I just want to reiterate that. People don't realize what a close relationship there are, especially among the public colleges. So Math 1148 at Columbus State is Math 1148 at Ohio State. So there's lots of opportunities for students to get a jump on their degree by doing College Credit Plus. But let's talk for a moment about the risks. So we've already talked about it's free, it's free, it's free. Guess what? Sometimes it's not free. So if a student fails a class or drops after the first 2 weeks of the semester, the district has the right to ask you to repay them for that course. And I've been informed that yes, your district will charge you for the class if the student fails or withdraws. So again, that's part of this family conversation, is to make sure that your child is prepared to be successful, because you don't want to end up paying for a free course, right? So this can have some big impacts, making sure that you're aware that that financial liability is available. And as Keith said, these are real college classes. So it doesn't matter if they're being taught here at your high school or on one of our campuses. It is the same course, just in different locations. And so what that means is that it's a college course and college rules apply. And I like to bring up a little thing that most of you probably don't pay any attention. It's a little thing called FERPA. And you're probably like, I have no idea what that is. It's a Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and it is like HIPAA for medical records. It's basically determining who has the right to have access to educational records and to have access to faculty, et cetera, et cetera. So in the K-12 system, parents and students have equal rights. Parents can be looking at homework sites, parents can be looking at the online grade book, they can do all of that. But at a college level course, the student, regardless of age, is the one who has the rights to that record. So if you go as a parent and ask a faculty member, why did you give my child that grade? The faculty member will say, I'm sorry, due to FERPA, I'm not able to talk to you. I need to talk to your child. This is something that is a huge issue sometimes with parents who are very used to being involved, because you've always been told, be involved with your kids' education, right? And then you get to college and they're like, no. So be aware that this is different, and this is a good opportunity for parents to help coach their kids on how do you talk to your professor? How do you work through this kind of an issue to make sure that everything is understood? So that is definitely one of the differences as far as the college coursework.
And another consideration when you think about College Credit Plus is it's very important to do well. So that's why we're telling you now. We don't want to discourage anybody from exploring this option, but we're just trying to give you as much information up front so you make the best educated decision for yourself and your family as possible. And the last bullet on there where it talks about federal financial aid may be impacted. Well, as a high school student, you're not using federal financial aid, right? So federal financial aid would be things like Pell Grants, student loans, things like that. But if you do College Credit Plus classes while you're enrolled in middle or high school, and if they don't go well, that can impact your student's future financial aid eligibility. We won't get too much into the weeds on this, but there's this thing called the Standards of Academic Progress, which is the United States Department of Education's way of having colleges and universities that give financial aid, which would be all the colleges here tonight, right? To make sure that students just aren't getting financial aid money and just kind of doing whatever and not succeeding in college. So there's metrics that say you must complete a certain percentage of the college credits that you attempt, and that's cumulative. For most of the colleges, it's 67%. So I always told students, complete 7 of the 10 credit hours that you attempt in college. Cumulative, so if you're in college 1 semester, 2 semesters, 3 semesters, those credits add up, right? And all they do is a simple division problem. Number of credits you've completed, which would be a successful completion. In most cases, an A, B, or C, okay? Unsuccessful, in a lot of colleges, is a D or an E. Failing, obviously you didn't successfully complete it. So they take success divided by total attempted. So if you take College Credit Plus classes, and a number of them don't go well, either you withdraw late in the semester because it's not going well and you don't want the bad grade, or you finish the courses and you get bad grades, Because College Credit Plus is real college experience and real college credit, that success or failure, in some cases, follows you into your traditional college experience after high school and fits into that math problem. In short, it's important to do well and take this seriously if you choose to go down the College Credit Plus option, because that success, yeah, it gets you a great head start on your college degree, but it could, if you don't do it well, it could have some consequences that could follow you into your traditional experience. Not to scare you, just want to let you know about that, all right?
You'll also notice up there it says that transportation is not provided. So if you're doing the class here, obviously you don't have to worry about that. But if you want to come onto one of our campuses, do you have a driver's license? If not, is mom or dad going to drive you? Mom and dad, what are you going to do while they're in class? Because you can't sit in the seat next to them unless you pay tuition for that seat. I have had students who have taken the COTA bus right on down High Street and come and take a class and brought it back to high school. But you need to figure out what are some of those logistics going to be if you want to take a class that is not going to be available here in the high school. So again, that's just one of the things that you should be thinking about, talking about as a family. Oh, and we had a whole slide. Yeah, we already went over that. Okay.
I will tell them one thing. I will tell you, although I gave the whole gloom and doom speech about financial aid and people not doing well, I will tell you that last semester at Columbus State, 92% of all credit hours taken by kids in high school and middle school, they got A's, B's, or C's in. So it's definitely realistic. I'm not all gloom and doom. Things go very well with the kids and families that choose to do College Credit Plus. We just have to let you know about the dark side every once in a while.
So, who can participate? If you're a student in grades 7 through 12, you meet the college readiness guidelines, and you were admitted into the college of your choice, you can participate, so that's very important. I believe in your packet you should have an intent to participate form. This is a statewide form, and it's at the end of the packet. And you're going to get more information at the end of this presentation about that. So they'll pass it out to you at the end of the presentation.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. But what I want to make sure that you guys realize is that this letter of intent is your ticket to be able to participate. If you don't turn this in by the March 31st deadline, because April 1st is a Saturday, your school district can say, sorry, you didn't meet the state requirements, and therefore you can't participate. So I always say, fill out the form, turn it in, because it does not commit you that you must participate. So I always say, turn it in. It's kind of your ability to just be able to participate, eligibility. And then, of course, you have to be admitted, and we're going to go and talk about what the admission criteria are for our colleges. Sorry, this keeps moving ahead of me. So who should participate? It's really important that students be academically prepared, because you already heard why, right? You don't want to do poorly. That doesn't mean that you have to be a straight A student. But we would say that you probably should be passing your high school classes, right? Does that sound reasonable? So a student who is academically prepared is definitely one who should participate. Also, students need to be motivated. So if this is much more of mom or dad's idea, they're saying free. If the student is not going to put in the effort, it's not worth it, because paying back the district, all of that. And maturity is so important, because you know what? We don't tell our faculty members, especially when you're on our campus, that they have high school or middle school students in their classes. And no matter where the class is taught, on campus or at the high school, we do not ask our faculty to change the content of the course. And there are times when there are mature themes. Earlier this week, counselor was telling me about a student who was in a class that was all about debate, and one of the topics was abortion. And the family was not happy that their child had to take a position and debate on that. But it's a college-level class. There might be topics that you may or may not feel comfortable that your child is having conversations and working with. We have older students on our campus, so your child might be sitting next to a 25-year-old or a 45-year-old. And if you're coming to Ohio State, you're coming on campus, guess what? Nobody is supervising your child. They are wandering on the campus of The Ohio State University doing whatever. And so you need to have that conversation again as a family. Is your child responsible enough and mature enough to show up to class? It is very different than what they're going to experience in a high school setting. Anything you want to add to that? The other thing that I would add is time, because most families that I know are pretty busy. So especially if you're coming to campus, you have to drive to campus, you have to find a parking spot, you have to get on the bus and take the bus to the central area of campus, then you have to walk from the bus stop to your classroom. You might have spent 45 minutes and not even set foot in your class yet. So if you're one of those super busy folks, you're involved in a ton of activities, you play sports, how are you going to fit it all in? The students that I work with are very successful, but when I meet with students who are not successful, almost every time the reason is they didn't give themselves enough time, and they need to be able to put the amount of work into their course. You'll hear it said many times, for every hour you're sitting in class, you should be prepared to do 2 hours of work outside of class, and that's to get a C. So much of the work that the faculty are going to expect you to do is going to be reading, doing homework problems, and doing a ton of work outside of the actual classroom setting. I do actually read applications for Ohio State for incoming freshmen, and so I get asked frequently, what's better, AP, IB, College Credit Plus, and there's not a one's better answer. They are good opportunities for students to challenge themselves beyond their typical high school classes. So they all give students the opportunity to try to spread their wings, to get some real rigorous experiences. What we would say is that as we look at a college application, we look very closely at what the class selection is. So if a student chooses to not take math their senior year, and instead comes and takes the history of rock and roll music as a college class, we're not going to think that's that impressive. But if they took AP Math and also took a college psychology class, oh wow, they're pushing themselves, they're doing some things. Most students are doing a combination of different types of courses. What we recommend is that you just continue to challenge yourself and take the rigorous classes that you can be successful in. One of the most common questions that we get in the admissions office is, what's better? An A as a regular class or a C in an AP or CCP class? And the answer for a highly selective college is an A in the AP or CCP class. That's the way it is. Okay. So I already talked about that. So your next steps, the letter of intent, talk with your counselor, and make sure that you apply for admission to the college of your choice. Is there anything else that you want to? No, I'll get to it. Okay. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about our specific programs. So at Ohio State, we call our program the OSU Academy. That's been our name for years. The state changes the name, we stay the Academy. So we do not do classes at the high school. Our classes are taught on campus or online, and the vast majority of our students are taking the classes on campus. You can do them At any of our campuses, so Columbus campus or the Marion or Newark campus would be the ones closest here. And what you'll find is that we have a ton of different classes that are available for you to take. What you should ask yourself, not just for the academy, but for any of these programs, is do you have enough time to fit this into your schedule? Are you going to be able to do everything that you want to do? And again, that's part of that family conversation. Is it more important to you to get a free college class or to be in the marching band or to get your Eagle Scout? That's not a yes or no. That's something that you should talk about. And just think about, well, what do you want to get out of your experience? So keep that in mind. Think about what are your goals, what do you want to do after high school, and that might help you decide if OSU is going to be the right place for you. Our admission criteria is actually stated in the law that we must use a similar process for College Credit Plus as we do for entering freshmen. So you may have heard that admission to the Columbus campus of Ohio State has gotten a little bit more difficult over the years, and we will use that same process for our Columbus campus students in the College Credit Plus program. So what that means, if you want to come to Columbus, we're going to look at a variety of factors. We're going to look at the courses that you have taken. We expect that you will have taken a fair number of high school courses. We're going to look at your grades. We're going to look at any way you've challenged yourself with rigorous courses. We're going to look at your ACT and SAT. We're going to look at your recommendations, your essays. So this is like applying to Ohio State after high school. People don't like when I talk about a holistic review. They tell me, what are the exact numbers that I have to have? And I can't, because it's going to be reviewed on an individual basis. But what I can give you is a profile of the students who started this year. So the typical student, that 3.5 is actually a little low. It's really more like a 3.8, 3.9. GPA is where the majority of our students are falling, typically in the top 15% of the high school class. The middle 50% on the ACT are scoring between a 28 and a 33. So that does not mean you have to have a 28, because a quarter of our students are below that. But it does mean that our typical student has taken the test and has done very well on it. Most of our students have already completed 3 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of social science, 3 years of foreign language. Our typical student is a senior. But if you're a 7th grader and you want to participate and you're really talented, it is possible. But you really need to have statistics that look similar to this, because that is the process that we use for admission to the Columbus campus. As I said, we do have regional campuses that are open enrollment. And so for those campuses, we use the statewide guidelines for college readiness. We will use the ACT or the SAT. And that means an English score of an 18 and math and reading scores of a 22. So if you're thinking, well, maybe Columbus isn't the option, a regional campus might work out for you. Our deadlines, if you want the summer, which is available to you, the deadline is right around the corner, February 15th. We will accept the February 11th ACT as an on-time test, but we will not accept anything later than that for the summer. For the fall, our deadline is May 1st. We will use the April and May ACT SATs to meet the deadline, but we will not take a June or July test. So if you haven't registered for those, make sure you do register for them. You go online, you fill out our application, and we review it. We'll send you a notification, then we'll invite you to come to campus to schedule. You meet with us. We get you all figured out on an individual basis as to what class you might want to take. And we don't guarantee that you will get any particular course, because it might be only offered at the same time as AP Physics. So sometimes the classes work out, sometimes they don't. So we recommend that you work closely with your counselor to make sure that you have backup plans. I had a student this year who did not take a single high school class in the first semester because she didn't plan in advance and she couldn't get into high school classes. That's not good. You need to be in your high school classes in both semesters. So work very closely with your counselors to make sure that you have everything planned out so that everything is smooth sailing for you. So that's the basic information about Ohio State. Again, I will have a table and be happy to chat with you individually, but I'm going to go ahead and let Keith talk more about Columbus State. And I think I went too far.
No, thanks. So at Columbus State, we do things a little bit differently. We have our big campus downtown Columbus. Raise your hand if you've ever been to the big campus downtown. We have our Delaware campus just north on 23. Raise your hand if you've ever been there. Awesome. And then we have a number of what we call regional learning centers throughout central Ohio. We have Dublin, we have Westerville, we have Reynoldsburg, we have Bolton Field, which is where our 707 is, our aircraft maintenance technician program is housed out there. We have Grove City. We have a number of places where students can take classes. I mentioned earlier you can also take classes in high schools. A lot of our districts offer classes within the high school as well. Differently from Ohio State, we see Columbus State and all of our locations and all of our campuses, our online as well as our high school partners, as one Columbus State experience. So the admission requirements are the same no matter what mode or what location you're taking classes through us. We have approximately 90 majors at Columbus State. As a middle school and high school student, you're not necessarily required to stick to a major. We all know, those of us that work in education, that the sooner a student decides on a path and sticks to that path, the more successful they are, the more credits they accumulate, the sooner they reach their academic goal. But that's okay if students take classes through our colleges to explore. We have a number of high school students this semester actually taking welding classes. Very bright students. They're planning on going to a four-year university next year and studying business, but one of them thought welding might be fun. And so that's covered under College Credit Plus. So they're down at Fort Hayes on the north side of downtown, taking welding classes 2 nights a week with adults. And from what I hear, they're having a great time, which it sounds like fun, but also worthwhile experience. It's a new experience for these students, but also something out of the norm. But on the other side of that coin, student that wants to go into business could take business classes at Columbus State, or they could take their business calculus, or they could take an economics class. So we encourage students to get into a path, but it's definitely not a requisite to be successful in College Credit Plus. Your advisor for Columbus State, for College Credit Plus here in the Worthington district, his name is Rob Cowles. He's officiating a high school basketball game tonight, so I graciously said I'd come and talk to y'all. But Mr. Quart has a pretty good relationship with him, and the other advisors or counselors here at Kilbourne do as well. And we're really there to meet your needs. We help you through the admission process, which I'll talk about in just a second. We're there to talk about which classes might be appropriate, to walk you through the enrollment process, to really help you be successful. Because our goal, all these colleges and all of your high school staff, is to really help your student be successful in whatever path they choose to go down. So we have a number of support services in addition to the advising. We have a great disability services staff at Columbus State. We have a testing center staff, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. And of course, as Michelle mentioned, as a student at one of these colleges, you have privileges to all the free services that any college student would. So our world-class libraries, our free tutoring centers, our writing center, our disability services, our advising. All of these are free services to our students. And as a College Credit Plus student, you're our student, so therefore, it'd be a free and open service to you as well. Separately from the universities, all of the 23 community and technical colleges in the state of Ohio, which Columbus State and COTC are parts of, are open access, meaning the door is open, you walk through our process, and you're accepted to the college. The difference between that and having specific admission requirements is our parameters in terms of what classes you can take are met through our placement test processes. So, just like Ohio State, you can take the ACT and give us your ACT scores to determine the metrics based on English, math, reading, writing, math, and science. You can take the SAT, or you could also take the placement test that is offered for free through Columbus State, We have a reading and writing test called AccuPlacer, and we have a math placement test called ALEX, And placement either through ACT, SAT, or through our placement test, the AccuPlacer and ALEX, would determine your qualifications to take specific classes. So the student I mentioned a couple minutes ago that might want to take a business calculus class, well, if you've taken Algebra 2 in high school and you either took the ACT, the SAT, or our math placement test, and you didn't score into business calculus because maybe math's not your thing, I get it. I went to engineering school and I'm not an engineer. So if math's not your thing and you don't place into business calculus, that's okay. You're not going to take business calculus. We have measures in place to keep you out of that class so you don't get in there and not do well. We're all about you doing well, okay? So where they have their admission requirements up front to get into the door, we let you in the door, but before you take a specific class, we make sure that you're ready for that class. I mentioned different parts of the placement test. Reading, writing, and math. It is free, okay? So a lot of times we get the question, hey, I want to take classes at Columbus State, haven't taken the ACT yet. Is that a big problem? No, it's not a problem. Some students have taken the ACT, and that's great. What we tell students not to do is take the ACT specifically for the intent of coming to College Credit Plus at Columbus State. If you're planning to take the ACT already because you need it and you're planning to go to an institution that requires it for admission, great, take it. But if it comes to taking our placement test for free or spending $100 and some on the ACT just to do College Credit Plus, feel free to take our placement test. You can take the ACT or SAT later, okay? For College Credit Plus students at Columbus State, obviously, like every good college, we offer a lot of science classes. And for students to take science classes with us, if you've taken high school biology or high school chemistry or physical science, we can use those passing grades as prereqs for certain science courses at the college level, okay? This speaks to what I already mentioned, where the placement process really helps govern what classes you're eligible to take to ensure that you're successful in those classes that you choose. And a conversation with your high school guidance counselor is paramount to make sure you're taking classes not only that you qualify for, but think of it as a three-tiered system. The first priority from our perspective at the college in terms of what courses a student should take should be, is there something that meets the high school requirement that they haven't done yet? So let's say you're going to be a senior next year and you need a 4th unit of high school English. Well, you can meet that through taking college composition at the college level your senior year. But if you decide not to do that and you decide to take welding and you still need your English and you never take the English at your high school, there's a good chance you won't graduate from high school. So high school graduation is the first priority for College Credit Plus students, right? That's your first job as a kid, is to get through high school, okay? Tier 2, something that'll count towards a college degree. Now, the best of both worlds is taking an English class in your senior year, for example, that not only knocks out your high school senior English requirement, but also takes care of your freshman English requirement at the college. You can double dip like that. It's great. And so one class, and you've met both requirements. That's Tier 2. High school requirements, college requirement. Third thing of priority would be something that interests you. So the student that's taking a welding class, she's met all her high school requirements. She has either taken or is also taken or is not intending to take something that counts towards a specific college degree. So she decided to take something that really interested her, which would be that welding class in this example, okay? Conversations with your counselor is very important because they know what you still need to take. They also help sign off on some forms to allow you to take specific classes. And our advisors and the high school guidance counselors have great relationships. And so we can often troubleshoot issues that we may see arise that you might not see arise, and vice versa. We can help get issues resolved before they become an issue, whether it's academic or a process issue. Our admissions process is pretty easy. Our application is completely online. The deadline for both summer and fall to apply to take Columbus State College Credit Plus is May 22nd, okay? The most important thing, as Michelle mentioned earlier, that you need to do before that is submit your letter of intent that was mentioned earlier to your high school counselor by March 31st. Think of that as your ticket in, as Michelle mentioned, okay? So Columbus State's deadline for summer and fall is May 22nd. Once you apply, and the College Credit Plus application on Columbus State is not real long, okay? It might take you 15, 20 minutes to complete. Because we're an open access institution, you'll get a decision very quickly. It's an automated decision. If you complete the application successfully and give us all the correct info, you're in. Your next step after that would be to take the test, okay? Whether it's submitting your ACT or SAT scores to the college or taking our placement test series. Once you have test scores on file, whether they're the standardized tests, ACT, SAT, or our placement test, then you would be invited to attend one of our upcoming orientations for that upcoming semester. May 22nd, okay? We do have this thing called a priority deadline. For falls, you'll see up there in red, April 15th. It's also tax day, so you'll have your deadline as a student, and parents have a deadline for the taxes. I would say that's an accident, but I'm not entirely sure that that's the case. But the sooner you know you want to apply to College Credit Plus at one of these institutions, definitely do that, because there are deadlines. And just doing an application to an institution, just like the letter of intent, does not seal your fate into, I have to go to this institution to do College Credit Plus. It's just one less thing you would have to do later if you decide to do it. Our application is free. And the Ohio State College Credit Plus application is free as well. So there's really no commitment and no danger to filling out an application at any of the schools, are they?
By law, they have to be free.
They all, okay. College Credit Plus is free, right? The state loves to throw on the word free. Michelle has talked about those exceptions. But in case you're curious, our tuition rate for a standard class at Columbus State is $135.93 per credit hour. So if you have a graduating senior, any parents in here have graduating seniors this year? Great, and if you want to come to Columbus State next year, that's your price. Okay. Obviously, one of the mechanisms for College Credit Plus, and a lot of its appeal here in the state of Ohio, is that students can get a lot of college credit done before they graduate high school, and then graduate college not only sooner, but also save a boatload of money doing so. And so this little math problem is just an example of how College Credit Plus and or going to a cost-effective institution can save you money in the long run as a family. Comparison numbers. Just like Ohio State's Academy has a great dual credit website, Columbus State does as well. And if you go to csec.edu/dual credit, you don't even think you need the word community in there anymore. Our application is right there on that front page, as well as a bunch of info broken down by prospective students, which would be the kids, right? Also parents, families, and we have great resources out there for our school partners as well. I am not Jacqueline, I am not Kimberly, okay? My name is Keith, but more importantly, you're gonna have a good relationship through your counselors with Rob, who is a great advisor and a great resource to the students here at Worthington.
Thank you both. So you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed, perhaps a little bit excited about the opportunities available to you. And so we're going to go through a little bit about what it's going to look like here in Worthington, because you got the general idea of what College Credit Plus is and how the opportunities and some of the risks involved, but what does that really look like here in Worthington? Okay, so as you heard, you have a variety of choices of where you can take your classes. You can go to a college campus, you can take them online, but you can also take them here in your home high school, so at Worthington Kilbourne or at Thomas Worthington. You have both of those as opportunities, and when you're taking your classes in your home school, you may be taking some of those classes with your regular high school teacher or with a faculty member from the college or university. For the classes that are taught by your Worthington teachers, these classes are the same as the high school classes. You're getting the same course curriculum. In fact, some of the classes may even be co-seated of those who are getting college credit and those who are not, and you are earning college credit while you're taking that class. Most of these classes are through COTC. So the Central Ohio Technical College is one of our partners, and the majority of the college classes that are being taught by Worthington faculty members are COTC courses. A couple of exceptions to that are the Intro to Programming Logic and the personal finance being only at Thomas Worthington High School. But those classes are through Columbus State. The rest of them are through COTC. So if you're taking one of the math classes or something along those lines for college credit, you're going to be doing that through COTC. The one place where your classes will definitely not be co-seated is with AP courses. The state of Ohio has determined that it is not allowed to co-seat an AP course with a College Credit Plus course. So you will have to decide in that instance whether you want to take the AP version of the class or if you want to take the College Credit Plus version of the class. When you're making that decision and deciding, you need to be sure that you're thinking through whether you're going to take the test at the end to be able to get that college credit or if you're getting it as you go. As with all classes that are offered in the high schools, it's all dependent upon the level of interest to make sure that we can offer it. So if not enough students were interested in taking a class, then we can't offer it here. The classes that Columbus State professors are coming to campus, both at Thomas Worthington and Worthington Kilbourne High School to be able to teach. There's 10 different courses, and you can see them on your sheet that you already have as a handout. You can see them up here. There's a variety of classes. They were picked very intentionally. These classes are going to be courses that transfer, and when they transfer to your Ohio public colleges, they were classes that appeared to meet the vast majority of the school's general education requirements. So we looked at the colleges around the state and tried to figure out what classes could you take now while you're in high school that when you would transfer to your college would meet those general ed requirements that most every student would need to take in some capacity. All 10 of these classes, our hope is that they would be offered at both Worthington Kilbourne High School and at Thomas Worthington High School, but a part of that depends on whether or not there's enough interest. It is possible that they may only be able to be offered at one school, or if there's not enough interest in a class completely, that it wouldn't be able to be offered at our school at all, in which case you would still have the option of going to Columbus State to take one of those classes. You do not have to take all of the courses. You can pick and choose the ones that are right for you. If you want descriptions about what each of these classes include, you can check your course planning handbooks. Those are all online, and you can see that, or you can certainly go to the Columbus State's website to get that information. How your classes work, if you're taking one of those classes that are taught by a Columbus State professor, those classes are going to be blocked. So you would take it, for example, during first and second period from 8 to 9:20, you might have one of your college classes, but it's only going to meet 2 days a week. So it is possible that you could have one college course on Mondays and Wednesdays during first and second period, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, at that same first and second period, you could have a second college course. It depends on how the schedules will work out and what your interest is in those classes. When you're working on your registration, right now in both Worthington Kilbourne High School and at Thomas Worthington High School, you are currently registering for the classes that you want to take next year. With College Credit Plus, we would like to know what you are thinking you would like to take. So we would like for you to register for those classes if you're planning on doing a College Credit Plus class in your high school. So please go ahead and select those courses. Those numbers are on your course selection sheets so that you can go ahead and pick them and add them into your requests for next year. If you're looking at taking a class on a campus, if you're going to go to OSU or you're going to go to Otterbein and you're planning on taking your classes there, then you should schedule your classes as if you were doing your full day at your home high school. And then once you've been accepted to that college, then you'll come back to us and we'll help you work on readjusting your schedule. We do still have to stick within the confines of the master schedule, but we will do our best, the best that we can to work with you to meet your needs for those classes. Please make sure that you let us know all of those courses that you plan on taking by February 17th. So if you've already submitted your registration and you needed to change that, please make sure you let us know that by February 17th. You heard a little bit about the fact that you can participate in College Credit Plus during the summer as well as during the fall and spring. If you would like to go onto a college campus and take classes in the summer, that is certainly an option to you. You are still held within the 30 credit hour limit. So the way that would work, you heard a little bit about this from Michelle already, but if I'm taking 4 year-long classes, that would equal 12 hours. So when you take the 30 minus the 12, we've got 18 hours remaining. This is during the school year, of course. And then if during the school year I'm also planning on taking 13 hours worth of college courses, I now have 5 hours left over, which means during the summer, I could take 5 credit hours worth of classes on a campus for free. So we really encourage you to work backwards. Look at your full year of classes and then work backwards to figure out what you would have available to you this summer if you wanted to take classes for free this summer. Your well-being is the most important thing to us, by far. We want to make sure that you are happy and successful in your classes and in life. And part of that to us is making sure that you are selecting classes that are going to be balanced, that are being respectful of your time commitments, the ability that you have to make sure that you're fulfilling all of those requirements that you have in your own life. You need to remember that this is similar to taking an AP course, but it's all in one semester. It is a high school weighted grade, and your transcript will list the college where you earned that credit and the information, including the letter grade for that class. Athletic eligibility is a big issue for a lot of students. Remember, this is a full credit class that you would be taking, so that would be equivalent to 2 high school classes when you're looking at the eligibility pieces. A couple of reminders, these are college courses, so you're going to be earning college credit, which means that the grades you are earning are from that college, so you're on the college grading scale for your classes. As you already heard, if you fail the class, unfortunately, you are responsible for paying that back. And you have to fulfill all of the requirements that are set forth by the college in order to participate in College Credit Plus. Some of those requirements you've already heard from OSU and Columbus State. For example, you have to hit those application deadlines. You need to take the admissions test or your placement test to be able to participate. If you are a male who is 18 years old, you need to have a selective service number. And you also need to be an Ohio resident or DACA approved between grades 7 and 12. Your next steps, we're going to give the opportunity for our college reps to sneak out. You have just a few more minutes that we're going to stay here for a second so that they can get to their tables and get set up. But the OSU, Columbus State, COTC, and Otterbein reps will all be available in the comments to talk about the specific requirements for their school that you're going to need to do in order to complete your steps for applying to their college. You have heard this already. Your intent to participate form is due by April 1st. Because that's a Saturday, your intent to participate form is due by March 31st. This is essential because you have to turn that in order to have the opportunity to take college classes next year. So please make sure that you hit that deadline. You will receive your intent to participate form as you leave here tonight. That's one of the pieces of information that we will give you. Make sure that you're following all of the college criteria, completing your spring placement testing if needed, and working with your counselor to finalize your selections. At the end of this presentation, we will also have one of our students. We actually had a whole panel of kids that were going to be out in the commons, and then 3 of the 4 got sick and are not here. So we have one student who has kindly agreed to man the table, and the poor girl has to be by herself. But a current Kilbourne junior, Ashley Kirby, has taken some of her College Credit Plus classes here at Kilbourne, and she's going to be at one of the tables out there as well in case you have questions about what the work expectations were like, how it was like to juggle and balance all of that information. In addition to College Credit Plus, one of the other options that students have for completing credits is through credit flexibility. Credit flexibility is giving you options. You have the normal traditional seat time. You can go sit in your classes, learn the information, take your tests, do your quizzes, do your homework, earn the credit. But for some people, they want something a little bit different. So based upon a student's individual strengths, they have the option of credit flexibility. Credit flexibility falls in 2 categories. Demonstration of proficiency, which says, I already know this information, I can take a test or do a performance or demonstrate to you that I already have this knowledge, and you can earn that credit. The other option is called educational options, and that's for students who might not know the material yet, but are going to develop their own system for learning for that content. Sorry. If you're interested in credit flexibility, you will complete a Credit Flex application. That's available on the district website. And as you leave here, you're going to get an orange intent to participate form. The counselors are spread out at the doors and ready to give those to you. And then as you leave the building, you're going to go to the Commons to be able to meet with the individual college reps. But as you leave, there's also green next step forms that outline some of those next steps that you're going to need to take. Additionally, if you have any other questions, feel free to contact your high school counselor or to check on each school's website. We really appreciate you taking the time and being here. Have a good evening.